All right. Stop this chicoonery right now. My name is Uncle Ruckus, no relation. Hey, man, who the hell are you? You don't belong here. I'm Damon, father of two, husband of one, and also no relation. Question, have you ever wondered who'd win between Gandalf and Dumbledore? Oh, that white man magic. How about a match between Kurt Angle and Bret Hart? Or what if Wayne fought Shorzy on Letterkenny or in Letterkenny? We found a way to settle these controversies. On our upcoming show, Disputed, Dean and I host advocates to settle these debates. Security! Look, I got the gift of gab and the gift of jab. And one more word, I'll put that lazy eye back to work. The battle will be fierce. Winners will be rewarded. Losers will be ridiculed. Subscribe, listen, vote. Everything is disputed.
I got a question.
Of course you do. You didn't go to Harvard.
Do you have any experience running a network?
Okay, see now? You're a hater. You're fired, so get on out of here.
I haven't been paid in 3 months. This is basically volunteer work for me.
Oh, well, quiet down so the rest of us who are getting paid can work. Thank you.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art is my art. It ain't no shame from it.
Hey, y'all. It's the Boondocks Podcast, and we're back to cover Season 2, Episode 15, The Little Viewed, the Uncle Ruckus Reality Show, in which a BET reality show forces racist handyman Uncle Ruckus to accept the truth about his own blackness. The show and man begin to quickly fall apart. But first, how y'all living?
Hi.
What's up? Hello. Happy. What is this? Second week of July?
I don't even know. What day is it? It's the 13th. So yeah, we're halfway through.
There we go.
Shit.
Halfway through July. Oh, it's going so fast.
If it wasn't for things like this podcast, I wouldn't actually know what day it is because I don't have to know right now.
I think we're all kind of like that. Just getting back out. It's like we're all coming out from a hibernation. And it's like, oh, we have to know dates and things. And not just like getting on a Zoom call and wishing somebody a happy birthday or, doing something like that. Just a gesture. Now it's like, get back to real life, guys.
Yeah. I've actually been out quite a few times in the last week or so, which is really weird. Like I performed a wedding and I hung out with some friends who I hadn't seen since before my sister died. And I don't know, there was another one in there somewhere. Like, it was like, I think it was 4 days in a row I went out and I was like, I've peopled more than I have peopled in such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trip. Like we went to this place on, was that Sunday morning for breakfast that we had thought had been closed because of had been forced to close because of the pandemic. And it turned out that it wasn't closed and that was awesome. And it was just as busy as it used to be, which was not as awesome, but we survived eating indoors in a very crowded restaurant and the food was amazing. And that situation was such a, it was both anxiety and also it felt so good to just be in like a crowded place and not actually feel completely terrified. Yeah, so that's what's new with me.
What's up with you, Miss Lindsay?
Oh, child, all I do is work.
Oh, we need to get you on
I hope
vacation.
that they really appreciate you because you do.
Right?
Oh, I work for myself. I mean,
So
I
you
have
appreciate
some,
yourself.
Right. That's right.
yeah, some agencies I work for, but I'm slowly, sadly, but slowly cutting those relationships just for my health stuff and doing me
Well, there
alone.
you go. We need you. We need our third for the podcast. So I would prefer. No. I mean, yeah, it is a lot of work when you work for yourself.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just telling a gentleman who delivered some medication to me last night. He was saying how he took how he took COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I normally don't do storefronts or delivery services, but it was one of those times last night. So first of all, he was supposed to be here at 8:15, and I got 4 or 5 text messages going, "Oh wait, 6 more stops in front of you, 8 more stops in front of you." So the 8:15 ended up being 10:45.
Oh,
So I had a little attitude when I went to go meet him, but
yeah.
being that he was, he's a brother. So, and he started talking to me immediately. He goes, "You podcast, right?" And I was like, "Oh, I do."
Oh, yes.
That's me. But no, then he started talking about how he took COVID and he used the time to start his own business. And I was like, you know what? You're somebody I can fuck with. Because if you didn't take that 15 months to do what you really wanted to do, you are not my type of person. Like we just can't, we're not on the same level. So it was just kind of nice to talk to somebody who took that risk. And he's like, it's a lot of work. He's like, but that's why I'm also delivering to you at 10:45 at night because, it's what needs to be done. So he can be completely self-employed. And, I thought that was really cool. So much to Miss Lindsay working all the time, guys. That is a great example of how much work puts into being your own boss.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'll
why
drop
hubby's like, what are you doing at 2:00 in the morning when I'm posting? Because, part of the job. I mean, does your husband go, what are you doing at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Are you like typing away furiously on your laptop?
Oh, he'll usually be like, I'm going to bed. Like he's the one who's always like, you should work more. You should work more. You should work more. Because I sleep in. So he takes that. Well, I used to sleep in. He takes that as like, you could be working, but it's like, no, dude, that I'm up to like 3 a.m. finishing up bullshit. But we're going to drop my first client's case study, I think next week. And that shit is insane. SEO for an e-commerce site typically gets a 300%, I believe, increase on ROI. And it usually takes you a year to achieve that. We achieved an 8,500% return on investment in 11 months.
Wow.
So, yeah, it just sucks because it's like I can't take on a bunch of new clients because of all my health shit. So it's going to be like, I'm going to weigh up my rate and be very picky about who I actually work with.
Facts. There you go.
Yep.
You don't take on more work, which you'd always say, know your worth and add tax. And then go ahead and pass that off to everybody else. So kudos to you. We need some applause here. We need an applause sound. Throw that in there.
Wait, who had that?
There it is. He's working. He's shopping. Whatever. Yeah, take a second out.
Allegedly.
It's either that or Big Daddy Unlimited, which is a ammo and tactical type of place.
Nope, I lost all my guns in a boating accident.
Yep, that's right. We did. They turned over all at the bottom of the.
All right.
That's okay. No, because they're coming after people's guns. That's the new thing.
Yeah, totally.
ATF is visiting, or as the president says, AFT, are just like popping up on the people and people at their homes and their jobs, and we went and picked up another. You don't want them to know exactly how many we have.
Pew.
Yeah, pew pew. We went and picked up another pew pew this past weekend, and they were telling us that they're just all over the country, just randomly ATF, they're just running into different, ammo stores and gun stores, and seeing what they have and taking shit. And yeah. So it's quite crazy. Yeah. It's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. Like, that's not where the focus should be, guys. But that's another podcast.
Not they're going on voter suppression right now. Focus on.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that's actually terrifying to me that they're like every Democratic senator and congressperson pretty much in the state of Texas is now in Washington, D.C. because if they go back to Texas, they'll get arrested and made to stay at the chamber until all of the voting suppression bills have been voted on. It's like, okay, Texas.
So crazy. They're like, oh, us in Florida, we're just two peas in a pod.
It's seriously, it's like they saw all of the shit that was happening in Florida and went, well, I think Texas man should be a more appropriate thing that everybody says, so let's make it a thing.
Crazy. There's so much diversion and other things going on now that people aren't paying attention to the things that we should be paying attention to. Like right now, people are having their voter rights completely suppressed, and that's not right.
In almost every state in this country, there is a bill in either the House or in the Senate that somehow restricts voting rights to some population.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was something like 40-something of the states. I'd have to look it up again. Fucking rate. MSNBC, they say it over and over and over again, so it should be in my head, but of course it's not.
Yeah, it's... Once again, I mean, we kind of have this talk every other week, I think, or touch upon it. Like, things are still better.
Things are still terrible.
We don't have the leader of the country, causing a lot of the strife and the the division that was going on. But now it's like, it's back to the whole, you guys are not that smart. And I'm going to show you how I think that you're not that smart and how much you need me. And this is the government that I'm talking about here when I say that. We got it. You guys need us. So just sit back. You guys have your basics. Right now it's like, oh, people are getting back to normal. And people are so inundated with their summer that people are not paying attention to shit that when the summer's over, you guys are going to be slapped with some shit that you're going to be like, wait, when did that happen? Well, if you were more worried about it while you were taking your, your cruise or, while you were going to Disneyland, then you would know what's going on. But yeah, I'm interested.
Honestly, like the way things are across this country right now, I am so surprised every time I see someone on a vacation. Like, I have something planned for the end of summer, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's going to be some variant that has changed and like ruined everything, or the entire West Coast is going to be on fire. So, why am I like, I don't know, like people who are going out right now and going to places like Disneyland and people who are taking their masks off everywhere, because literally it feels like everywhere they're just like, nope, don't need it anymore. Like, people are dying. I mean, yeah, if you have your vaccination, you're probably not going to die, but there is still that chance that it's going to mutate again, or it'll like someone like me who may not be as fully covered by the vaccine because of my autoimmune stuff. Like it's like 99.5% of people who are dying right now are unvaccinated, but that 0.5% could include me. So I have to think about that shit. And it's terrifying that people are literally screaming from the rooftops that this pandemic is over when it's not. And it's just, and
it's affecting the group that spreads everything so quickly, children.
Right.
I just read like probably about 30 minutes before we started that summer camps are being just flooded with it. So they're like, so what about schools? I do think that they're being a little presumptuous and, doing things ahead of time by saying, oh, no, they can go back and you don't have to wear masks. Because that's what they're saying. So, I think that people are going to be very surprised when we end up holidays, probably on a little bit of maybe not as severe of a lockdown, but a quarantine, but it's going to be similar, I think, throughout the end of the year. Like I said, kids are the ones that spread everything like crazy. So
yeah, but it's not just the kids too. It's places that are under vaccinated. Like You live in California. I live in Washington. For the most part, our states are pretty well covered by the vaccine right now. Like, we're both in the 70s. There's still a lot of people not doing it in both of our states.
Mhm.
But when you look at a place, like, I don't know exact statistics, but like there was just some kind of political rally where they were talking about how vaccination rates have stalled, and fucking GQ peers or whatever the fuck, like they cheered that vaccination rates have stalled. And they don't understand that those people who are not getting vaccinated are the only ones dying really right now. And like, it's so just, the whole thing is such a fucking, it's a dystopian novel that somehow has come to life. Like, if the Matrix were to come out right now, I would fucking believe it, because of the shit that is going on does not make fucking sense in this world.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, movies and things like that, like they come from them somewhere. Like, these people have these bounce of creativity, I'll say, because it's like there's some truth in it. So we should be a little more aware and protective, but I'm not gonna say we,
we're
'cause
tired
I'm not
of
as hard headed, but there are people, and overall, everybody's hard headed. You know, it's like people don't believe water's wet, pretty much. So
Yep.
you know, we'll see. But I mean, I'm hoping that especially my boys are healthy and remain healthy. I mean, our 12-year-old, he was able to get vaccinated. So, but the little one,
I mean, the studies that are happening between for the CDC, from everything I've heard, they're just basically waiting for the approval for the next youngest. Like, Dr. Fauci was talking about on MSNBC, and he basically was saying, we don't have the approval yet, but all of the studies that have been done on these groups, we're seeing the exact same rates that we're seeing in adults. So, like, it's working, and there's no ill side effects that seem to be coming up. But they have to do it a specific way, because they don't know how it'll react. So they have
I'd much rather them be a little more cautious, with children, than the rest of us. Our systems are better. Like, what I'm saying, we've had years to push it out. We've had other vaccinations in our bodies and all that good stuff. So I do feel much more comfortable that they are taking more time, with that. So we shall see.
Did you hear about Tennessee though today?
No. What happened?
You heard, let's see. So, basically, the woman at the Department of Health for that state got fired because Republican pressure on her bosses made them decide to pull back on all of the vaccine push. And instead of just pulling back on the vaccine push for the kids, they basically said they put a moratorium against all vaccine awareness campaigns in the state. So, trying to get people to get the MMR vaccine or to the HPV vaccine, all of that, you cannot educate in Tennessee right now, because like, it's so fucking bizarre. And this is a state Department of Health that is listening to politicians instead of doctors. And it's amazing to me that this shit is just like, and I go back to that not understanding so much of humanity. Like, people are dying and you're pushing them closer to that.
Yeah. And then wonder why people that have, I'm not going to say have the intelligence, but have the desire to want to know more and to understand, is my government or my local officials, do they really care for me? So those that are able to stand back and look at this situation like we are, why wouldn't you then be like, a little disenchanted with, the political, those in office? Because it's basically, they're telling you, we don't give a shit. No, we don't care about you all. We don't even want you to be educated enough to make a decision on your own. So when people go, why don't you trust government or politicians? Well, that's why. It's one of the very good reasons why.
Yeah.
I don't know, girl. When I'm living in a, just holler at me when I'm living in the bunker.
I mean, I know that we're moving to a place that has very similar politics as the city we're living in now, but the community is so much more familiar with each other than it is here in Seattle. Like I feel more like I could survive somewhere where the community is interested in my health and my safety, whether or not I am a productive member of society, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though, like politicians all over this country, the politicians there are not necessarily doing what their constituents want. And there's recall campaigns for the mayor and the governor, and just the whole fucking country is just falling apart. Nobody's doing anything on the.
I mean, first thing is look at the homeless. Look at that situation. So that's telling you right there how much they actually care.
Right.
There's people living on the freeway. So, and that's just not here. That's everywhere. Like that's
and it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
And as soon as all of the different states start stopping the eviction moratoriums, there are going to be even more, because there are landlords out there that are only in it for the money, and they're not making money. So therefore, they want to kick their people out and get people who are going to give them money.
Look, I'm gonna just make a quick, just little bit of a suggestion to people. Go to look at the state, look at the county. There are programs that are helping people to be able to pay the what you owe, and full 100%. They will pay your, SMUD, PG&E, or whatever your deal is in your town or city, for your electricity and your utilities. But there is money out there. I mean, and a lot of it is not being used. You just do an application, you be honest about it. I mean, we all know our financial situations, and it takes maybe about a month, and you will get either the approval or denial, but their jobs are to approve as many people as possible. And there is money out there for you to not have to be in that situation when the federal moratorium's in. So just a bit of suggestion there. Just do a little bit of work, guys, a little bit of Google search. And so there is hope to stave that off. But being that they allowed people to get into that situation during the pandemic, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't have faith in any kind of government that's like, oh, we're sorry that we didn't do anything for the last year and a half to make sure that you stayed alive. But now that you are alive and you're about to be kicked out of your house, I guess we could help you.
Yeah.
But you have to do all of these things first. We're not just going to, cancel all debt. We're not going to do that. You have to actually apply it to us. Because that's our federal government.
I mean, what Joe Biden can do that would just make me somewhat pleased with him. Get rid of student loan debt. Just stop it.
Seriously?
Just get rid of it. Just get, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not in a big hurry. I don't care when I'm done with school. You guys can send me my bills in 6 months. Okay. There's all kind of things that would put off me paying the $600, $700 that you want me to pay per month. I'm not too worried about it, but you could definitely help to kind of kickstart, our economy by at least taking some $120,000 debts that people have to educate themselves away. I don't have quite that much.
So there were studies that basically showed if the government canceled $50,000 in debt across the board, no matter who you are when it came to student debt, $50,000 across the board, the amount of families that would be lifted out of debt just by not having to make that payment every month was astronomical. And that's why that was such a push, was the 50,000, because they had done studies on that. But that's even like me, I don't quite have 50,000, but I probably will by the time I'm done with the degree that I'm in right now, or maybe whatever I get after that. But there are student debt being relieved is suicide prevention. Housing is suicide prevention. Getting air conditioners to people in places that don't have air conditioning when there's about to be a heat wave That's suicide and death prevention. You know, I haven't seen Washington's numbers, but Oregon put out the numbers of people who were found alone who had died during the heat. Simply, like, they didn't have air conditionings and they lived alone and they just died. And every single person who died lived alone, didn't have an air conditioner, or was homeless.
Yeah, sometimes I think, are they trying to eradicate some? Are they trying to get the population down some? They're like, oh, we're going to have this many more in the next, 50 years. So let's go ahead and get rid of some of these ones that we've used them. They're used up. But like, I feel like sometimes that's what they're saying without saying it, obviously.
Yeah. It feels like climate change is somehow a form of eugenics because they're not, they're purposely ignoring the things that will save human life as the climate changes as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a survival of the fittest, but we're going to make sure that the fittest are ones with the most money, not who's actually the fittest, just who can afford to survive.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, we're just so brilliant on this. We just mind blown. I'm sure that people. Yeah,
it's just depressing.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this. At least we have the Boondocks every week.
Right. Before we get into it, though, I did want to say that our lovely producer Dean is starting with our regular substitute guest, Demond. They're going to be starting a new podcast soon. It's called Disputed. I believe that the promo is going to be at some point during this episode played, but I'm guessing it'll be cut in after. So you probably have already heard that if you're out there listening. But yeah, if you should go and join their social media so you can see all the stuff that's coming out with that, because that looks really fun. And you will definitely recognize other guests that show up on that show. For sure.
More content creating. I love it.
Right? I know. I'm excited for it. I want to find out about the Uncle Phil versus Cliff Huxtable one. Like, that's the one that I'm ready to listen to.
Yeah. Really good. Yeah. I like the idea behind it, the concept. So kudos to you, sir.
All right, let's start season 2, episode 15. Well, quote unquote, episode 15. The Uncle Ruckus Reality Show. So this is part 2 from last week. And basically it starts right in that BET office with the fictional president of entertainment, Wedgie Rudland, not at all related to Reggie Hudland, not at all, not at all. He's holding the Monday staff meeting on Thursday, and he is the new super duper smart Harvard educated president of entertainment. After asking staff members why he was hired, he says that it's to take BET in a new direction. He fires a board member, tells the staff to make the Uncle Ruckus reality TV show happen. Now, our opener into this episode was kind of that firing of that staff member, where it was just kind of ridiculousness of, he has been paid in 3 months. Well, fine, then you're a volunteer, then sit down. Just like, shush your mouth.
The rest of us that are working.
One thing that I was actually, this first few minutes is really interesting to me because there are so many real things thrown in there. Like, negative elevation is a real concept taught at Harvard Business School about embracing being at the bottom because the only place you have to go from there is up. Had no idea that was a real thing. I thought it was a joke. But, and also in this scene, Wedgie shows them a comic for Black Panther and talks about doing a TV series for it. Now, in reality, Reggie Hudlin wrote a comic, Black Panther, that came out in 2005, and there was a BET TV series in 2010. I had no idea, but I don't watch BET, so. So even more just basically showing, even though at the time of this episode, the TV series hadn't happened yet, that Magruder knew inside information on this particular person that he was skewering in this.
Yeah, we as watching this, Hubby started researching him. I didn't know. I didn't realize. I didn't put the two and two together. He's done so much. Like I was like, oh my god, I saw his name on this, on this, on this. So it's funny because look, Aaron Magruder is saying something. Okay, so I tend to believe that this part of some of this is very true, and of course it's probably exaggerated. But it's funny that it appears to me that you were standing in the way of another young black man who was, maybe a little Huey-ish, we'll say, for real. And you were kind of knocking his hustle. Like you were trying to stop his creativity. And regardless of that, Aaron Magruder was like, no, I'm going to blow up anyway. And here I am. And now I'm going to go ahead and do an episode about you. So it's funny because it makes me think that he did definitely have a lot to do with getting these episodes blocked in the first place because of all the shit that he's done in Hollywood. Like he's been a lot. I mean, and not just black entertainment, but across the board. He's done a lot of production, a lot of creating and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, him and his brother. Yeah, because I mean, we were watching it. Hubby kept reading like his whole freaking resume, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I never even put two and two together like that. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know, and when I was looking it up, I was like, I seriously thought that maybe he was alluding to something, like hinting at something, but it was full on blatant.
Yeah.
It's just like right down to the point where like Dean pointed it out on the in our little trivia that the BET animation executive that gets killed in a scene in a minute is actually Aaron Magruder in that character. So being killed by Wedgie or by La Yvel and her minions. When we get to that.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I didn't know that one either.
Crazy. I mean, yeah. When I was watching, I was like, "Oh, they did him dirty. He got a lot to say." Oh, okay.
All right, and so we'll definitely talk about that one in a minute. So, at his home, Uncle Ruckus is shown chronicling his life and where his day typically starts at 4:45 a.m., which is 12 hours before most black people get up. And he does his prayer for the white man, basically thanking the white man for the sun and for the air he breathes and all of that. He tells his whole story about not being black and suffering from revitiligo, which is, the opposite of that thing Michael Jackson had. We see him applying an ointment composed of bleach and sulfur. Now, I don't know about you guys, but growing up with as much self-hatred as I had and not understanding why, where it was coming from, really, I used skin bleach on my knees and my elbows when I was a teenager, trying to make them at least match the rest of my skin because they were darker than, the rest of my skin. And that shit is fucking painful. I literally have spots where you can see where, like, when I get tan in the summer, you can see it. It's terrible shit. And even like right up until around that point in my life, it was a very normal thing. And even a few years ago, there was a baseball player. Was it Sammy Sosa? There was there's a famous baseball player that basically like bleached his skin until he was practically
and did it like what he looked like before. Like it was like just blatant. Like he just dipped himself in a bathtub full.
Right. Well, it doesn't work that way, but yeah. I mean,
I know that's how he looks. Like that's how he looks.
I just I still can't believe that that is ever something that was just on the market in general.
Even the from Love and Hip Hop, Miami, there was a girl who was supposed to be black, Afro Latina, and then they started accusing her and then there was a Jamaican girl in there. The Afro Latina girl accused the Jamaican girl of bleaching her skin, even though the Jamaican girl never bleached her skin one time. But like
she did it because she says it's so huge in Jamaica. Like they use something called like soap or something that they use, and helps
She
them,
did it
like,
for her ads, trying to like show the problems with it, and then they
with
got
colors
around with
and
it.
Mm.
yeah,
The
I never did. I know
Braxtons,
in
too.
Mississippi, like my family in Mississippi. What'd you say, Lindsay? I'm sorry.
Oh, the Braxtons. Sorry, y'all, you're about to hear my husband
Oh
come
yeah,
in. Yep, they're big on it. Although Tamar Braxton says she too has vertigo. So that was her excuse.
I can understand it with vitiligo because you're trying to blend what is really a very dramatic change in skin tone for most people who have it.
is that what Winnie Harlow has?
Is that
No,
what
she has Winnie Harlow. She's a model, like she's a supermodel right now.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's. I believe so. I have to look her up again.
one in the commercial where she's like, "Why stand out, or why blend in when I can stand out?" And so she's
Yes.
putting on like the opposite of concealer of her skin. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, Michael Jackson told us like, whether he had it or not, but it shouldn't be such a big surprise. Like for her to be able to be, like people act like she's like a one arm, one leg, one eye freaking supermodel. It's like, guys, it's something that we should know about and she can't control, and that doesn't take away from her beauty. But it is, I think it's awesome that she has been able to, be a success in an industry where they care so much about your appearance. I mean, it's all about your appearance.
Right. The fact that skin bleaching has been so normalized that we finally have someone who is shown naturally with vitiligo, and society in general is like, oh wow, I guess you can be beautiful with that. Like that's a whole thing that hopefully will change future for kids. Other countries though, like it's really bad, especially countries where the U.S. or Great Britain were the colonizers. You say it was big in Jamaica. That makes complete sense to me. And most of the Caribbean is very heavily influenced by the U.S. So,
Sammy Sosa is from Ireland too, originally.
Yeah, see there. Yeah, that's probably where it came from more than just being in the U.S., but the countries that emulate us, I guess. Is that a good way to put that?
Yeah. Where like our culture, like really heavily.
Yeah, certain parts, especially the white supremacist parts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So look what Uncle Ruckus got on a whole nother topic.
Right.
But
yeah. So Ruckus then goes on to talk about the shrines he has to his white heroes, including John Wayne. And he mentions that he works 32 jobs, including bus driver, where we watch him being ignored and insulted by the kids that come in until he stops the Freeman brothers from getting on the bus. The only kids that show him any kind of respect tell him... He stops the Freeman brothers, who are the only ones that show him any kind of respect, and tells him the bus is for kids with a future. While he's driving off, he opens up the door as he passes them by, and he yells...
That's right. Get your lazy asses some exercise. Y'all should just go be rappers, get into a beef, and then shoot each other.
Like, literally, don't even bother going to school. I know you're just going to end up killing each other in the end because that's what you all do. And, I mean, that stereotype, just, that's very Ruckus. Everything that he does is just like that.
He's not shocked anymore by any of that.
Yeah.
Not shocked. He is very committed to being an ass.
And it is interesting to me that Riley and Huey, they don't even put up a fight. They just are like, ugh. And then they start walking to school. Like, they're like, ugh, whatever. Like so many Black people who are confronted with racism who are just like, oh, fuck. And just walk away.
And not putting the energy into them, but yeah.
If you watch the news about Florida, you would believe that it is just a bunch of young Black people killing themselves before they ever go to any type of higher education. I get it, stereotypes, but unfortunately, some people make stereotypes seem true.
Yeah, that is definitely true. But it's also kind of a vicious cycle kind of thing where, you believe that they're going to be terrible, so therefore they become terrible just to, yeah.
I'm not going to make it past 25 anyway, so I might as well go out now.
Right. you're telling me I'm a piece of shit, so I'm just going to act like a piece of shit. So, yeah. And then that ruins lives. And yeah.
And that's so sad because we have so much more power than that and, more control over that. But it's like, whose responsibility is it to help, especially like this generation of these individuals, these young men that everybody's a rapper, first of all, in Florida. Like, I don't know what else they tell. I mean, seriously, I think they all have Uncle Ruckuses because they're all rappers. But then they all have beef with just somebody else that lives across town and they're a group of rappers. Or,
around the corner, not even across town.
Yeah, and in the same family. I mean, I can't tell you over the past 3-4 months how many stories we've heard of cousins killing cousins or first cousins.
Remember the song Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay? Killed his cousin in Florida.
Yep.
Or, I'm sorry, killed his cousin in Atlanta.
Yeah. He is now he is in prison right now. In county or
fuck.
And yeah. Oh, yeah. Salento is he's done. He's going to be silent because we're not going to hear anything from him. He is going to be underneath. I mean,
that's unfortunate.
It is. And so it's like when you have something that's talented like that, then you wonder what message were you being given or what was your environment growing up? So it's like, even though they may have this talent, not everybody is equipped with the skills and the coping skills to be able to become a Jay-Z, let's just say.
That could have easily happened to Jay-Z or Snoop or, any of the ones
Snoop
that we now... Like,
Snoop was on trial for murder.
Snoop was on trial, right?
Yeah, and I
Snoop
bet you
probably did it.
Like Snoop now, 'cause Snoop is very crossover. So I bet you half of the people, like, let's say, older than our generation or maybe around, had no idea. Like, they just look at Snoop now and they're like, shizzle. And, and try to...
that's so funny to me. Because, I guess he gained popularity after the murder rap, really, because, like, Murder Was the Case That They Gave Me. It was, like, this huge crossover hit.
Yeah. And he was...
Like, I think that's around when he was made more mainstream.
Tupac with two of America's Most Wanted. So those two, like, Murder Was the Case, and then America's Most Wanted went platinum, if not higher. So...
That was just right in the time when it was becoming, I don't want to say attractive, but I hate the term gangster rap.
But that's what it was called at the time.
Yeah. It's now evolved. So
yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, gangster rap as a title is kind of the same way where I say grunge, but that's not really like, that's what it was called at the time, but I really wouldn't even consider that a thing. I think it's way spread out more than that. But it would be the same thing for rap in general, because like when I was growing up, it was gangster rap or it was R&B. The crew arrives at J. Edgar Hoover Elementary, where Ruckus is then being seen working as a janitor, mopping the hall and bemoaning desegregation, how white children are perfect.
Desegregation ruined the American school system. When did test scores across the country drop? After desegregation. When did drug use and violence in schools go up? After desegregation. There was never no white kids shooting up nothing before they started going to school with niggas. These little angels wouldn't even know what a gun was.
So, before Lindsay, before you want to go into that, I went down a rabbit hole after him saying that, because I was like, wait a minute. When did mass shootings like start? And like the first massacre on school grounds was in 1764. The first school shooting that was done by a student was in 1853. The first considered mass shooting was in 1891. There were so many instances, because I just went through the Wikipedia basically looking at school shootings, and there were probably 150 of ones where a teacher got killed because she refused a lover, or a student got killed because the man that was grooming her couldn't have her when she was fucking 10 years old. Things like that. All of that should happen long before black kids were in the same school. You've got Whitman killing 16 at the University of Texas, and that was right around the same time as desegregation was starting. And then shortly after desegregation, you had Jackson State and Kent State, which were police violence. And the, from there, of course, it does, as guns became more prolific, there became more, but most of the shootings that happened past that, white kids. So even in places that are notorious, like the statistics for kids bringing guns to school in like the 80s and 90s was, off the charts in certain areas. But gun violence in schools did not increase in those times when more guns were found, which I found really interesting. So anyway, that was the rabbit hole that I went down that I wanted to talk about, because school shootings did not go up because black kids started going with white kids. Thank you.
I mean, it seemed like after Lean on Me came out, then all black kids were like, let's take guns to school. I feel like really.
I mean, that'd be right. That's around the same time.
Yeah. We all wanted a Joe Clark or something. I don't know what they thought. Right. No, that was it. Or maybe now you guys are actually.
And then you had Dangerous Minds. That was the other one. That's like the bookend of the white savior or the teacher savior for the bad kids. What was the other one with the Hispanic teacher? Yeah, Stand and Deliver.
And that was a true story though. Like that one was awesome. That was a true story.
Well, so was the one with Morgan Freeman.
Mexicans too.
Yes, but the one with Morgan Freeman was also based on a true story.
Yeah, Lean on Me.
Black saving blacks.
Yeah,
Dangerous Minds. Very staple in our cinematic history, but not really.
Yep. That was a soundtrack that I very much enjoyed. I'll put it that way. The movie itself was just at the time it was really cool, but looking back, you're like, oh God, that is so white savior syndrome. It's just so terribly obvious, and it's so gross that it has to be this white woman that saves everybody. And
I like the movie because of Coolio, so I'm with you.
Dude,
when that song comes on, I want to jump out of wherever we are. I want to just jump out of my skin because they act like it is the best song.
I need to tell you. Just mentioned Coolio. I have to tell a real quick Coolio story. So, 10 years ago, when I was heavy duty into roller derby still and going to the convention every year and working the convention, Coolio was at the hotel at the same time we were, and so. To put it nicely, several people know what Coolio is like in the bedroom. But he still has those. He had two fucking his hair looked exactly the same, but there's only two of them left up there.
We just saw him in an interview on Vice or something like that, and he still has them, but they're now all gray. But it's just the two little sticking up.
Yeah,
where are they now? Where are they now? Yeah. If he don't leave that shit, okay. He looks like when somebody is trying to make a newborn baby who has just a little bit of hair, but you were trying to make her have a ponytail. A little ponytail. That's what he looks like. If you don't, his forehead is like a 7 head because of the lack of hair that he has right now. And you're just not helping. Just go bald because he's making his head look bigger.
Right.
But wow, there's people know about Coolio's prowess and
yep. Anyway, back to so Lindsay, I know that you had something you wanted to say about this clip.
Oh no, I just think Ruckus is hilarious and funny because everyone knows that school shootings are more often mass school shootings anyway are more often carried out by white people. No shade, white people, but y'all got to own that one,
right?
Don't bring that shit over here.
That is, gun violence could be potentially said to be. Now, I can't even say that anymore because really the truth is gun violence could be a black thing or a white thing just as easily. The gun culture for white people and the gun culture for black people are really not all that different. It's just different music.
And it's not even that because rap is the biggest genre because of white kids.
Yeah, that is very true.
Black parents don't give the kids money to go pay $100 to go to the concert, to go see Travis Scott. Black parents do not give their kids X, Y, and Z to be able to go and buy the Travis Scott meal at McDonald's. It's just just not how it is. So who's the one that's making them so big? And especially now that you find your music through SoundCloud or through, a streaming app, it's so much easier, for the genre to continue to grow. but for parents to be disconnected. I mean, we realized that when the mom was like, "Oh, he wears his dungarees" in the one episode.
Yeah.
I know they got the dungarees and the CDs or whatever she was saying. Like, that's how I feel like that's how parents are connected with the horrible music. I'm sorry. I may say I'm old, but good Lord, the music is horrible. But yeah, it's like Lindsay said, Uncle Ruckus is, I mean, just absurdly just make me laugh wrong. Yeah, it's so delusional. I mean, I think, and deep down, I feel like he knows it. And I won't jump ahead because there was one thing that I did want to talk about from this episode, but there's like a moment of clarity, I think. For him.
Definitely talk about that.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Foreshadowing. I'm just foreshadowing that.
Right. All right. In our next clip, Ruckus has some thoughts on philosophy.
You think Aristotle turned to Achilles and said, "Hey, let's create a fraternity and jump up and down barking like dogs"?
First of all, why did you use those two?
Right. I mean, they don't really go together.
Omega Sci-Fi. That's what the reference.
Well, I know who he's talking about, but I'm saying, why would you say Aristotle? Why would Aristotle and Plato be talking about it? Like, why would they be?
That's why
Because Jesus wanted to be a fraternity, so it's just more that people know who the purple and gold are, and they jump over, they park.
No.
Well, I think what Ruckus just named two names that sounded, because they're not two philosophers. Aristotle, yes, but Achilles was a Greek. I don't know. It's a story, potentially a real human, but like not a philosopher by any means. So, and also Achilles is gay as fuck. So
Greek life.
But did you guys learn about the Zeno? I think it's Zeno paradox. Did you take philosophy at all in college?
I took a class of philosophy, but I hated it.
Yeah, I only took one class when I went back to school, like for graphic design. And this is where I went in a rabbit's hole because I really sat here like Googling the shit because it got me thinking. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me make sure I got this shit right. So the Zeno paradox was this old school belief before that the Greeks had a concept of zero or like finite and convergent and divergent numbers. My husband could explain this shit better to you, but whatever. So basically the paradox said that a turtle challenged Achilles to a race, saying that Achilles would never beat him because every time, the turtle starts the race with a head start. If Achilles lets him have a head start, Achilles can never beat the turtle because every time the turtle gets further ahead, I'm sorry, I'm saying it horrible. Every time Achilles catches up to the turtle will move further ahead. What's the term? Sorry, guys. I've been working all day. When you like
it's all
break
good.
down the numbers smaller and smaller, an infinite number of increments. Yes. So the logic is that if they race for infinity, that Achilles can never catch the slow ass turtle. And of course, to us, that's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's like, what are you talking about? But like the trick of it is that from a philosophy standpoint is that if you put that paradox into the earthly world that we live in, it doesn't make any fucking sense. But if the race were to go on for infinity and have no concept of time, etc., then it's true or it can be true. So that's
where the torso and the hair comes from.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Damn, makes sense. See, I didn't even put that together, and that's the much more obvious reference. But so how I started thinking of it and why I started Googling it and going down that rabbit's hole is now put it in terms of race. Like, even if you give, how people always say, oh, Black people, we got to do better. We got to move up, da-da-da-da-da. Black people will never catch up to white people in terms of progress. Again, take the mathematics out of it, take the laws of physics out of it. And now we're talking about a concept, which is then kind of, not bound by any finite metrics or anything. It's because like the rules, they will always change the rules. So no matter how Black people, quote unquote, catch up, you will never be equal to your white, or honestly, not just white, your lighter skinned minorities, because that's the way it goes. I don't know. That's where my mind went with this.
And they totally do as much as they can to keep that. So let's say that the gap was being closed, like we're right on the heels. They do. So perfect example, me being in cannabis, that should be something that especially brown people, should have like they should have the first, bid or first chance to get into it, to make themselves entrepreneurs and whatnot.
People should have been released from jail sentences that were sentenced for weed, and they should have been the first ones because they have prior experience.
Exactly.
It doesn't make, it's like firefighters who are prison when they employ, quote unquote, firefighters from the prisons. When they leave prison, they aren't eligible to take those skills that they learned fighting fires as a prisoner because you can't be a firefighter with a prison record. It's like,
you taught them fire camp and used them, and gave them a skill, but a skill that they can't use outside. So same thing within the cannabis industry, they're doing everything they fucking can to, once again, not allow us to have the opportunity to even the play, to even the scales. Absolutely, Lindsay. I like what you say that. It's a sad reality, but within that, there's so many things that we can still do to continue to make that, to make that stride. Like, don't just give up. We can't that.
Right. No, absolutely. Like they say that paradox was solved with the invention of the number 0, or like with the realization that you can do mathematic formulas to calculate infinite integers. But like, to me, in terms of like, okay, let's apply it to race. Yeah, you can solve it by, don't let these people define whatever your measure of success is. That I know people, I like on LinkedIn, I changed my LinkedIn, y'all. Like it says like social justice and comedy podcaster. And then SEO is now secondary. Yeah, right. I don't give a fuck. Go authentic or go the fuck home. Right. And like, that's why I'm out here always saying like, yep, I just am who I am. I'm not code switching. I don't do this. I don't do that. Because I'm not measuring myself. No shade to all you wonderful white people out there. I am not measuring myself by standards of whiteness. I'm not going to always talk like this, you guys. I'm not going to do this client call voice with people. I am going to say the N-word if we're not in a meeting setting. And that's because I don't own the business world. So I'm still going to give out your respect in that realm. But when I'm not in a corporate situation, it's nigga time for Lindsay. I'm sorry. That's what it is. And that's how it's going to be. Stop letting these people determine what success is for you, whether it's the way you talk, how you style your hair, all this kind of bullshit. Do what the fuck you want.
That's me with F words. Like I'm not around my the kids that I work with. I have the worst. The kids that I work with, I would rival them on the amount of swearing that I do when I'm not with them.
I mean, fuck is like a period or like an exclamation. It is. I mean, come on.
It's a word that can be used as a noun, a verb, or an adjective. Come on.
Same thing. It's kind of like the whole, if you're from California, this whole people from South California or SoCal, they don't say hella. So as soon as you say hella, they're like, oh, you're from NorCal.
Oh my God. I say hella up here.
They don't get what it means. I'm like, how do you not get what it means? What does it sound like? Like it's everything. It's a lot. It's just like, it's everything. It's hella. Come on. So just like fuck, just like nigga. I told my friend he is a 60-year-old Australian white man, and we were at the campsite, and good Lord, these privileged ones, these women, were just doing not too much, but for much, like so much. All right, I'm gonna break it out, so much. And I looked at my friend. I said, "Go get your white niggas over there. Go get your." And he was like, "Wait. I'm confused." I was like, "No. You heard me right. Go get them white niggas." Because, like, it was same thing. So same thing. Always gonna say it. It's gonna be, if you know me, and you love me, and you're gonna take it just how I give it. So I'm right there. Right there with you, girl. Yes.
I don't want to forget that for a second there, y'all, you wanted to talk about Black fraternities.
Oh.
MJ and Hubby.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
Well, all I was saying was that when he did the jumping and barking around about dogs and everything, there's one Black fraternity that actually does that. That's only really the Q dogs.
So I'm wondering if they have something.
And they are known for being, so when it comes to Divine Nine, which is what it was when I was in college, I think 11 or 10 or something like that now. But you have certain fraternities or for Divine Nine's all black fraternities, they have certain stereotypes. But the Alphas, which was the very first one, they're supposed to be the real studious ones. The Kappas, which was the second one, I think I'm not a Divine Nine, so I don't really care. But the Kappas were
He's in a fraternity, guys, but just not a Divine Nine.
Who cares? Not their fraternity because they're trash.
I probably...
The Kappas are the pretty boys. They go around and dance. The Sigmas nobody really cares about, but then the Qs, they're like always the ones that are at a party and they're jumping around and like they want to be the center party and they're barking and their calls a bark and stuff like that. So that was a reference to the Q dogs, and especially with them probably being in like Atlanta, they're seeing all of those fraternities out there. We don't really see them in California, but in the South you see them more.
Yeah, I feel like I need to reach out to my cousins and find out what fraternities they were in, because I have at least two that I know went to Grambling State University, which is an HBCU.
And they will still be in it. So only people that are used to being a fraternity, respectfully, are white people or people that are part of a white fraternity.
No, but I used to. I was in one in college, but
in the ethnic fraternity, Mexican, black, or
I mean, I'm looking at a picture right now from May 1st where he was hanging out with frat brothers. And he's like probably 38, 39.
They have letters on, or
they're doing the hand sign thing. I don't know what all the stuff is.
The process that minority organizations go through is a lot different than non-minority organizations. So ours is usually for life. So that's Black, Mexican, multicultural. Those are usually for life. It's only what they call them is panhellenic, which is basically the white fraternities that are only while you're at school or while you're paying dues. For the most part.
Okay, sorry, I got caught in something. What were you saying about Q? There was a Q, the Omegas. Okay, that's what my cousin's in. Omega Sci-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you ever go to a party with him and a bunch of his fraternity brothers, they're gonna jump around like they don't know how to sit still, and they'll be barking all around.
All right, I know a little more about my cousin now.
Yeah, Shaq is a fake Q, so that's why he puts it up. They'll put up the sign where they look like JJ from Dynamite, so you know they're really like.
Yes. Yeah, where their hands kind of. I can't do it, but they do like this angle thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's interesting because being that everything in these couple episodes were definitely subs at, Reginald and other people that work there. I'm wondering if, I was wondering if they were. I mean, he went to Harvard though. I don't think they would be. They're not at Harvard, right? Reginald.
No. Speaking of Harvard, that was Cornell West was today, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask if you guys heard about that.
Where he got denied tenure, so he's like, "Nah, I'm out."
Yeah.
And I could have sworn he already had tenure.
I thought he did too.
I know, right? Had tenure.
I mean, he's Cornell West,
right? That's actually exactly what I saw. I was like, fucking Cornell West, you are just asking for war right now, aren't you?
And I mean, I'm sure he gave his, regular resignation letter, but then he wouldn't put that shit on Twitter. Like,
he did, yeah. I haven't read it yet, but I saw an article about it and I hadn't read it yet.
Yeah, that was shocking to me. I was like, whoa, like that's part of the news today. Remind me to say something about the spelling bee championship.
Oh,
yeah. Last thing, I would probably say that based off of that episode, either Magruder or whoever, or McGregor, whoever, you know what I'm talking about, or whoever helped write that episode, they either wanted to be a Q and didn't make it, or they pledged Q and dropped.
Yeah.
That's why he threw the shade at him, is because
it was very specific.
And then he used Uncle Ruckus to do it. Like, let me write this in here for him. No.
Out of all the oranges, there's literally only one. It's just the Qs that do that. There's only one.
Yeah, but so there's a whole lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Let's look at it in these episodes. But.
Let's listen to the next clip and see if we can think of some more. So Ruckus has opinions on how hygienic white people are.
How you doing this fine day, pal? May I say your dookie smells like sparkling ice water with a twist of lime. See, that's why he don't have to wash his hands neither. Yes, sir, white man has impeccable hygiene.
You take a shit and it smells amazing. You don't even have to wash your hands and you're impeccable.
I mean, now, Ruckus.
Like, there's
That's not true, because
there's always
how
so
many
much
times-
worship, but
I mean, in Black households, you heard a lot, and people that are listening, please don't take offense to this, but it's been known and it's been said that, white people smell like wet dogs sometimes. And it is, I'm sorry, like, I didn't.
Respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully. Yeah, but I'm just saying like that. So it's funny that was said too, because I think that's kind of a said thing. Sometime in Black households, your mom may say, you smell like a wet dog coming here smelling like white people after you've been outside playing all day. Other than you smell like all outside. Those were like two things that you commonly heard. So for Uncle Ruckus to say that, it's like, come on. There was this whole thing that came out on Twitter that they don't wash their legs in the shower.
oh my God, right?
I was like, why are you guys admitting that? What do you mean you just stand there? It just all runs down. Like, what?
I'm just going to pour soapy water over my body and I'm going to assume it cleans it.
Yeah.
No
And,
wonder a girl doesn't want to suck your dick.
All right. Why your legs always get? Hey, look, they're out there as
Listen,
well. My son is halfway.
Listen, that's probably the cleanest part on our bodies.
Well, the penis, yes, that is true. That I'm sure has been very well cleaned in the shower, and that's why they think their legs are clean because of all the soap.
Now, Dean, you weren't part of that whole guilty party, right? That you wash your legs in the shower, I hope, right?
Or I have somebody do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
good. That's a good answer.
That's a very good answer. Anything you wanted to add, Linz?
Oh, no, I just picked it because it is exactly an example of like that earlier integer conversation. Like people who are racist will just make up bullshit about you because you're Black, or call out things about you because you're Black, and then let a white person do it. And it's like, damn, that's amazing, James. Do it again.
Yep.
You rap? I mean, don't get me wrong, because Eminem's fire. But let's just say
that absolutely would be something that Ruckus like. Oh, you little niglet rappers, blah, 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 blah. Whoa, Eminem. Now that
Eminem.
that is a musician.
As a poet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, definitely.
Laureate Marshall Mathers.
All right. Okay, so we are at after school. Ruckus approaches Jasmine and asks her if she's waiting for her father.
Be like, see, talking just like one of them.
Oh, I don't sound so white anymore. Asks if she's waiting for her dad, who, Ruckus remarks to the camera, he married a white woman, lucky son of a bitch. Tom arrives in a kilt and tells Ruckus that his Scottish heritage is Jesus Christ. Scottish heritage, and now he took a test that revealed he was 32.5% Scottish. Tom's thought, which Ruckus was like, oh, if someone like you could be that much Scottish, I wonder about myself. So Tom tells him that he wants to learn more about his roots and then tries to relate to Ruckus about the TV miniseries Roots, which of course Ruckus has no idea about and just kind of stares at him.
Said, what? His response was that, like, it was very, very, it just tickled me. I was like, what?
Yep.
He's acting like he made it up. Like, what? Why would you be able to do that?
Is that a gardening show?
Yeah.
So then Ruckus visits I've forgotten how to talk.
Do you have rented lips syndrome?
It's my tongue. It keeps getting in the way. Where was I? Jesus Christ. Ruckus visits a scientist to look into getting his DNA tested because, he looks, don't pay attention to this outside rapper. It's reverse vitiligo, opposite of Michael Jackson. I'm as white as they come. His favorite movies were Gone with the Wind and Notting Hill, which just cracks me up.
Another sidebar.
So then, back at BET, Redland tells Deborah Le'Evelle about his plan to start the BET animation time in order to destroy the minds of Black children. A board member shows Le'Evelle his creation, Super Cyborg Mandingo Man. This board member is based on Aaron Magruder. With the script in flipbook form, showing a stick figure throwing a spear, Leavell, unimpressed with the show not being evil enough, summons her associates, Big Nigga and Crazy Bitch, to beat up the board member. The board member screams for Redlin to save him, but, Redlin looks at his hands and is like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. They fall on deaf ears. His face gets all scratched up. It's unknown whether or not he lives. We just see his blood splashing across Leavell's face, which she then just wipes off after laughing evilly. Leavell then asks about the Uncle Ruckus show, and Redlin tells her that it's going great, and that it's very evil. And she, of course, threatens him with, well, you see what happens when it's not evil enough. So I hope that's basically you've learned. Just basically implying that he'll die if it sucks. So then the next scene is one of the best scenes in this entire show. It's when Uncle Ruckus finally receives his DNA tests, which reveal that he is 102% African with a 2% margin of error. Following this, Ruckus retreats into a bed-bound depression.
Well, I'm black now, but the first thing I did was quit all my jobs. I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. Probably have to start selling crack, or rapping about selling crack. I might not even have revitiligo.
I mean, he really believed it. He really, 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 really believed it.
Well, if you tell a lie enough times, you definitely start to believe it, so.
Yeah, that put him in a depression. Like, he was in a deep funk state. Like, that was the worst news. First of all, if I would have been the DNA person, I wouldn't have, tested his DNA at all. I would have just took that shit, held it for a couple days. Just by looking at him, you are a nigga. And you are definitely African. The way that it ended the episode says a lot more than just
right
having fun and yeah. Well, yeah. This part,
yeah. This is just the beginning where he gets that letter and shortly after that he goes to the Freeman family because he needs advice on how to be black. So he basically he makes fun of Huey for wanting to learn more with his walnut-sized brain. Makes fun of Riley for playing video games. Like, is that all I have to look forward to? Robert points out that there is nothing wrong with being black. And they go to a shoe store where Ruckus just complains that there are no shoes named after white men. But he goes to get his hair cut. Ruckus gets really pissed off because the guys working there start talking shit about Republicans, which, he can't stand for that, especially when it's against U.S. President George W. Bush, in which case Ruckus tells them that they should all go to Iraq and fight for, just, go be a soldier because obviously you have no idea what it's like. So, yeah, he gets promptly kicked out of that barbershop. So Redlin kidnaps the doctor who gave Ruckus the results and decides to torture him. But the power went out in the torture machine, so he was very unsuccessful at it. But he's going to make that doctor change how he checks DNA, or, what he's going to tell Ruckus anyway. Ruckus tries everything to adjust to his new status, including reading Ebony magazine, which just makes him crazy. Tries drinking malt liquor. Absolutely does not like it. He looks at a centerfold of black woman and just throws everything on the floor and starts crying. He contemplates suicide, but Redlin arrives on the scene to stop him. And to convince him, he brings the DNA doctor.
Ha-ha, it's you! You did this to me. You gave me that test.
Yes, I know. And I came because there was a mistake at the lab. We had a black intern there I didn't know about. He messed up your test. Here are your actual results.
Well, I'll be. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! How dare you mistakenly inform a man of his blackness? You should be ashamed to call yourself a white doctor.
I'm, sorry.
See, Ruckus, you were worried about nothing.
Well, Wedgie, I must say, for a darky, you are not that difficult to hang around. Now, you said you learned all that stuff in Harvard.
Well, I definitely didn't learn it at one of those historically black colleges.
Morehouse, they only call it Left House. Oh, it sure feels good to be white again.
Now, for the record, the paperwork shows that in this new DNA test that the doctor produced, that Ruckus is 50.07% Caucasian. So more Caucasian than black, which is all that Ruckus cared about. So at the end of the episode, Ruckus is shown as a crossing guard and states that he has a lot more sympathy for colored folks. Huey and Riley walk past Ruckus, and he assures them that it's safe to cross. But then as soon as, he turns around, he waves a van to go on through, which narrowly misses the boys, prompting Ruckus to laugh at their misfortune as they lay on the ground. So, has Ruckus actually learned anything? Nope.
Well, that was just a horrible dream to him. I mean, it was a nightmare.
Right?
That time, he had to try to be black. But he woke up and then realized, no. I am more than half white. I mean,
right?
But yeah, the whole episode, like I said, it took its time to kind of throw its shade, at his time, at Magruder's time, working with the others, I'll say. But it also kind of brought it all full circle with, using Uncle Ruckus as the center of the example of what was so wrong about BT, but what's so wrong about some part of Black America, or what the thoughts are. I'm sorry, the perception about what's wrong with Black
America. Any final thoughts about this episode before we move on? Or anything else that you wanted to bring up that hadn't gotten discussed yet?
Nothing. Sorry, trying to get the cat out of the room.
No worries. All right, then. Dean?
Welcome to Stupid White People Questions.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Uncle Dean.
No relation. All right. Well, I was, like I was on the TikTok and looking through my list of stupid white people questions that folks have gotten on there. And our friend Shakur Collins on TikTok said that they got the question, if you don't wash your hair every day, does that mean you don't take showers? So, and it's for us white folks, it's just we don't wash our legs. So, I mean, apparently.
Yeah. Well, the idea will come from, huh? So.
Yeah.
So this one could be approached from a couple of different angles. I don't have what is thought of as black hair, but I also have really bad depression that sometimes manifests in not being able to take care of myself. And having to have like reminders to take showers and stuff like that. So I'm not a good person to answer this question. If I washed my hair every day, it would just be a frizzy mess. So even if I do manage to take those showers regularly, it's, no more than every other day because that would be gross, in my opinion, to my hair. But I also know, like, my dad, he wouldn't wash his hair every time he got in the shower. He had the really tight curls. So...
Well, I mean, and to be honest, you're not supposed
Right. Because you need oils in your hair naturally.
Like whether you're black or white or anything, there's the natural oils that, to white people, they go, oh, my hair is gross and oily. No, it's not. That's how it's supposed to actually be. Maybe your hair would be able to hold the curl and wouldn't be so limp and other things, if you just allowed it to be natural. So that part. But no, it's not what it means at all. It means that we know how to take showers like adults and not like you're fucking a 2-year-old and getting your whole and everything wet. But that's also why there are things called shower caps. For women now it's bonnets because you're trying to keep your hair healthy. I think a lot of people forget that's the point of a bonnet. Because if you just sleep on a regular pillowcase, which most of us do, that's not good for your hair.
Yeah.
So that's really what a bonnet is supposed to be for, is the hair, the care of the hair, not a fashion or anything else. But so yes, this question, out of all of the dumb and stupid white people questions, it's like, so on the scale, it's like a -1 on the scale of 1 to 10. Like, I would be like, oh, you just don't know.
Like anyone who claims to wash their hair
yeah.
every day, I know that they're white.
Well, yeah.
I don't know anybody with any kind of curl in their hair that washes it every day.
Yeah, it's just it should be
What's so
clueless
sad
white
is-
people question.
Yeah. But no, what's so sad about that is you guys are actually making the health and beauty industry richer because you're like, oh, I won't hold a curl. So then you go and buy the curl shampoo and the curl conditioner and the curl this and that. Well, if you just didn't wash your hair every day, you wouldn't have to do that. And you could go ahead and buy the 99-cent swab and be all right.
Well, I mean, I'm going to just step in as having worked in beauty for like a second and a half. There definitely is a fine line, though. Like, if you are sweaty, that's not necessarily good to keep in your hair. If you are, but like things like that, like when you think of, let me see. So with my hair, I have only recently discovered finally a like shampoo conditioner that works really well and makes my hair actually like respond well and do what I want it to do. And look healthy and feel healthy. Like
I'm still doing that. I'm still finding what keeps moisture and all that stuff,
well,
but
the summer's kind of screwing it up a little bit because it has been a lot drier just here than it usually is. So that's part of it too. Like, so some people, they might have hair that's just way too oily to not wash every day. And that's totally a thing. But there would be specific shampoos for that kind of thing that keep some of the protectiveness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a cosmetologist by any means, but I was a recruiter for a cosmetology school. So I learned a lot of what I say from there. Like, it's not me just talking shit.
Right.
So
yeah.
I
just wanted, like, it doesn't have to be expensive, but
yeah. And I'm just saying that you guys, I mean, not everybody as a whole, not all, the whole race of white people, but or just here in this, capitalism type, country that we live in, we're doing things that we don't have to do and putting out money that we don't have to. If we just took the time to really learn how things work for us and our bodies. And, they didn't have all this shit way back in the day. They didn't have it, and yes, the life expectancy was shorter, but that's because of the time that it was in the world. But I'm just saying, like, if we just took a little bit more time to just think about some things and not maybe make it a race thing, then we could all, keep more money in our pockets. But, I'm going to sound really hippie-ish again. Just love each other a little bit.
I get that. Linz, how about you?
It's exactly what MJ was just kind of touching on for me. Like, y'all, I have family members who have psoriasis in their scalp. I won't say who. And they need to co-wash their hair every fucking day. When they don't go to the salon, it's a co-wash.
Wow.
That's what they have to do. Otherwise, honestly, they get oily scalp. So Black people, there is like, it's exactly what you were just saying about race, kind of, and that's for white or Black or whatever. It is such a Russian roulette of genes and characteristics of your hair, your skin color, your eye color, et cetera, that you can absolutely be a Black person who has to wash your hair every day. It is rare, but they exist. And again, there's people who wash it, which you probably shouldn't do. I don't know how that could be possible, but I'm sure someone's out there, and I don't want to offend you if you are. And there are people who co-wash, and like, again, my family member who has probably, I would say, 4A hair, honestly. But again, they have that, don't want to say white characteristic, but they have that white characteristic of getting their hair oily. If they don't wash their hair, I would say twice a week. And that probably does have something to do with the fact that a large portion of my family has a lot of the swirl going on. But even still, you're still Black. You're still Black. So,
One drop.
Like, don't even bring race into this bullshit. Everyone washes their hair when their body dictate. Well, everyone should wash their hair based on the schedule that is designed for your hair type. Long story short, me, I can go 2-3 weeks without washing my fucking hair.
I could go 2 weeks I really should take more showers than that, but I could definitely go 2 weeks without washing my hair, depending on the time of year. Like in the winter time, totally, 100%. Summertime, if I'm sweating at all, it's probably way more often.
Yeah. But I mean, if it comes to a point where you're smelly and all that other shit, you're being like cabbage. I mean, not a cabbage. Where are the other ones?
When I used to smoke cigarettes,
you're like a garbage pail kid.
Yeah.
Then then it becomes a larger problem, and then let's have a conversation as adults about your hygiene.
Yeah.
But
when I used to smoke cigarettes and smell that on my hair, that would make me like. But now that I don't do that, I can still smell my shampoo like 3-4 days later. My hair doesn't need to be cleaned if I can still smell the soap on it. So.
Yeah, it's but definitely cigarettes. When you stop smoking, you're like, wow, did I smell like that?
Right.
Like you smell in your clothes and room and shit like that. Yeah. I never smoked in the house, but when I stopped, I mean, I was more of a social. But when I stopped, I was like, oh my God, is that really? And I thought I was looking cute at the club or somewhere else. Smell it like this. Like that is not look. Yeah. Other than that, guys, hey, it's the hygiene thing. Yeah.
Yeah, do what your body dictates. Don't do what beauty standards dictate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if there's an award for the least offensive, question, they would win.
For the least offensive white people question, I would agree with that one. That's not really offensive.
Okay. Maybe we should give them a little ribbon.
All right. Any final thoughts? Mm-hmm. Anything coming up you want to promote or talk about? Special events happening end of July.
No. Hubby's like talking to me, like mouthing things.
She's bad at promoting. So again, Menage with the Mary Jane Maven podcast can now also be found on Full Spark Radio. So please go ahead and check us out there. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you.
And Linz, you want to promote yours?
Well, I don't got shit going on, y'all.
No talking trash right now?
No, we're doing it. There'll be a new episode out, I think, tomorrow. But yeah, we're on the slow roll.
All right. Well, make sure you check out, Disputed when it comes eventually. The promo is out, so you can hear like what it's going to be about. And yeah. I guess. All right, my friends. Well, then I guess we will see you all next week.
Love and light to everybody.
Bye.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next time for the season 15 recap extravaganza.
Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-we-3-undo.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.